President. I've mentioned it on many occasions. Let me reiterate once again. Never will we agree to any external forces anywhere to impose on who is to govern a country, any country. It goes beyond any common sense and the norms of international law. Naturally, we discussed this issue with the Secretary of State, Mr. Kerry. Our position remains unchanged. We believe that it is only up to the Syrian people to decide who they are to be governed by, and they should define the standards and rules of this process. An important thing to say is that we support the initiative of the United States, including the proposal regarding the development of draft resolution of the UN Security Council. And this resolution was conveyed to us by Secretary of State, Mr. Kerry. I believe we could support that, and I believe it would be satisfactory for the Syrian authorities as well.
They might dislike something about the attempt to solve the conflict that has been going on for a long time, a legal conflict. A compromise is always possible, but there should be compromises on both sides. But we believe that in general these proposals are acceptable, although there is still work to be done. But let me repeat, this is the initiative proposed by the US, by President Obama, and it shows that both the US and Europe are greatly interested in what's going on in the Middle East, in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, and we will support the resolution of this crisis, and we will seek the solution that would be acceptable for both sides, no matter how complicated the situation might look. That is the way how we should do this. Our joint work to prepare a constitution, a mechanism, a control mechanism should be set up for future elections that are possible in the future. There should be a transparent mechanism who everyone will have trust in, and based on this democratic procedure, Syria will have to determine on its own which governance is the best for the country and who should govern the country. To follow up on Syria, Mr. Putin, is there a clear plan on Syria? Do we have a clear plan on Syria, or are we acting? So you see that Turkey has shot down our Russian aircraft, and we have increased our presence in Syria. So what would be the final point of our military operation in the Syrian airspace? And do you believe that it is possible to bring the Syrian conflict into the political field? Is it possible? I've been just trying to give an answer to that question. We believe that A, it is possible. B, we think that there is no other way to resolve this situation. This will have to be done sooner or later, and it's better to do it earlier. Sooner than later, there will be less victims and costs, there will be less threats, including for Europe, for the US, because, 14 people were killed in the US. ISIL has managed to reach the US, and the US authorities have recognized that it was a terrorist act. So ISIL is posing a threat to everyone. So the sooner we do this, the sooner we settle the conflict, the better. Let me repeat, there is no way to solve this issue except for the political one. Do we have a plan? Yes, we do have a plan. I've just laid it out. And in principle, this plan matches in its key ideas the US proposed vision. Joint work on constitution, creating control instruments for future early elections, the elections themselves, and recognition of the results of those elections based on this political process. It is a complicated thing to do. There are mutual complaints. Someone likes one group, others like the other group. Some want to work with the Syrian government, others reject to cooperate with them. But all the opposing sides should move forward towards each other. And what about the military operation? We said long ago that we'll be launching our airstrikes and we'll be supporting the offensive movement of the Syrian army. And we'll be doing it as far as the Syrian army is carrying out these operations. And by the way, I've mentioned it publicly recently. It was François Hollande's idea to try to unite the efforts of the Syrian army and at least of the part of the armed opposition to fight ISIL. And we partially managed to do so. We've managed to find some contacts with people who are the so-called opposition, the intolerable opposition, armed opposition in Syria, who want to fight ISIL and who are doing this in practice. We support their efforts aimed at fighting ISIL with the airstrikes of the Russian aviation, as we do so when supporting the Syrian army. And when we see that this process of approximation has started, and when we see that the Syrian army, that the Syrian leadership believes that the time has come to stop shooting and to start negotiating, from this moment on, we are not going to be more Syrians than the Syrians themselves. The sooner, the better.